Long-distance passenger rail service in Canada is, well, a work in progress. Although we enjoyed a quick 2-hour hop from Ottawa to Montreal with favorable results, it still lacks the finesse compared to modern train lines found around the world. Today we're back with Via Rail on a slightly longer trip. Along the way, we're on the hunt to discover if Via Rail's business class product is worth the added cost, and would it be a trip you'd enjoy. We begin to what I hope would be a great journey, bright and early outside Union Station in downtown Toronto. Good morning and welcome to Toronto, Leafs Nation, the Six, or Home Sweet Home, and welcome again to another video. Last summer we had a great experience traveling with the Via Rail from Ottawa to Montreal, a quick 2-hour trip. So this summer I thought we'd stretch the legs out a little bit and see how Via Rail is on a longer 4 to 5 hour trip. Today we'll be heading to the nation's capital with Via Rail in business class. The Shupatsu Jikoku, or departure time, is 10 o'clock in the morning and it's just about 8:30 right now. So come along, let's start by heading inside the station and heading to the lounge and grabbing a morning coffee as we make our way from A to B. Union Station, which stands today, is actually the third building to have been built. Construction commenced in 1914 and continued to 1920, taking longer than initially anticipated for obvious reasons. The venture was a partnership between Canadian Pacific and Grand Trunk Railway, whose names remain engraved on the exterior. However, by the time the station opened in 1927, Grand Trunk Railway had already been bankrupt for several years and never actually serviced the station. The architecturally pleasing Great Hall contains the ticket office. Above, if you look closely, you can see the names of the many destinations Canadian Pacific and Grand Trunk used to service. Unfortunately, train stations in many of these cities now sit idle. Today is a special day for many, as a quick look on the board shows train number 1, the Canadian, bound for Vancouver, departing at 9:55. Business class passengers have access to the lounge located just off the west side of the hall. It was fairly busy with Vancouver-bound passengers enjoying their last few moments on solid ground before being on a train for the next 3 days. Things quieted down significantly once they boarded. The lounge only provides hot and cold beverages, so if you are looking for breakfast, you're going to have to look elsewhere. There's Wi-Fi available and some reading material to pass the time. Across from the Via Rail lounge is the TD lounge, available to those who have the TD Visa Infinite card. It's much smaller, though maybe worth a stop if the business class lounge is overly busy. Speaking of breakfast, under the hall is a good place to start if you're looking for a nibble. This bakery caught my eye and it looks pretty good, so I ended up picking something up. There's also the Union Market, a food court which opened a few years back. So if you are kicking around Union Station, even if not catching a train, there's a healthy selection for those wishing to grab a drink or bite to eat. Well, it's about time to head to the train. Boarding opens 30 minutes prior to departure. By the time I got to the platform, economy passengers were already queuing up. If there is one aspect of the station which needs to be improved on, it's the access to the platforms and the platforms themselves. Both are simply too narrow and not really suitable given passenger numbers. Anyone who takes a GO train, the regional commuter train, knows exactly what I mean. Business class is the first car of the 4-car train, and once everyone is on board, or I guess those who boarded on time, we started our trek to Ottawa.
Hey everyone, my name is Anita and I will be a service manager on board today. On behalf of Via Rail Canada, the entire crew welcome on board train 40 en route to Ottawa. It stops at Gilwood, Belleville, Kingston, and Saddlehill. Wearing a mask is no longer mandatory on board our train. However, you always have the option of wearing one, as it remains a practice strongly recommended by public health authorities to reduce the transmission of COVID-19. Thank you for your cooperation.
The 4-hour trip would take us east along the north shore of Lake Ontario. After stopping in Kingston, we'll leave the lake behind for the last hour as we head towards Ottawa. The business class car comes in a 2-1 seating configuration with half the seats facing forward and half being rear facing. The galley and luggage hold is located at one end, while the other end has the washrooms. There are also box seats for 2 and 4 located at the end of the car and in the center where the rear and forward-facing seats meet. These box seats share a larger fixed table with foldable wings to suit passenger preferences. Our seat is 7S, a rear-facing single seat. Beside the seat is a small table with power outlets underneath. Seatback has a coat hook off to the left, the table, a net pocket with a safety card and a paper bag for trash, and a footrest down below. The seatback table isn't adjustable and is about the size of my laptop, so if you are intending on doing any work or some writing, I'd suggest to get a box seat as the fixed table provides you with a larger working surface. And above you have access to the reading light. The seats themselves are nearly identical to the economy seat, so the difference with the hard product is mainly the added space and that side table. After the service, I'll give you my thoughts on how this class of service can be improved. Via Rail does offer Wi-Fi on board, and you should have no problem streaming media or anything like that. It's really easy to connect to. And of course, if you are a new viewer, I invite you to subscribe for continued travel and aviation-related content. We are approaching the 2,000 subscriber mark, so many thanks to those who have recently subscribed, and to those for your continued support. Shortly after leaving Toronto, there was an introductory drink service, and I went with a Caesar as is tradition. A salty snack and oshibori were also handed out. So cheers to enjoying another trip and the wonderful Canadian summers. It's always great to be back. Lunch was served around noon. The options were a pasta or a salmon dish, and I went with the latter. It was a cold dish. The various salads tasted fresh and bright, but I thought the salmon was overcooked and on the dry side. Had it been cooked for a few minutes less, it would have been much more pleasing. The flavor was there, just overcooked. The highlight of this meal was the yellow beet and walnut salad, very delicious. After the meal service was finished and cleared, we were offered a little chocolate, and I enjoyed a steam whistle afterwards to accompany the passing scenery. About 3 hours in, and we stop at Kingston before heading away from the lake. A fun fact about Kingston is that it was the capital of then the province of Canada from 1841 to 1844. A look in the washrooms at the end of the car shows that it was nice and clean, and it was kept this way throughout the trip. I'd say this was a comfortable trip, though I do see where improvements can be made. First, for a business class seat, I think an adjustable headrest would add comfort, especially those who wish to sleep. Secondly, I thought the side table by the window created a seat that may feel a bit exposed to some. Having the side table between the seat and the aisle may create a more personal space. Perhaps the biggest improvement can be done with the seat back table. It's not adjustable, and with the generous seat pitch, it makes enjoying the meal or getting work done a bit less comfortable as you have to move up to meet the table. So a table which can slide closer to the guest would really help here.
We're now arriving to Fallowfield Station. Nous arrivons maintenant à la gare de Fallowfield. And this is your last call for Fallowfield Station. Ceci est votre dernier appel pour la gare de Fallowfield.
And about 4 hours after we left Toronto, we pull into Fallowfield, which is on the west side of Ottawa. I got off here as this was where my buddy was picking me up. The next stop would be Ottawa Station, a few minutes away. I always enjoy the passing scenery a train provides, so I enjoyed that aspect of the trip. The staff did an amazing job and were engaging with the guests and made sure everyone was comfortable and had something to drink. Well done. The trip from Toronto to Ottawa in business class came out to $150. For some comparison, my one-way economy airfare back to Toronto was $174. Overall, after some reflection, I think this is a case where I'd be happier in the economy car for a fraction of the cost, as there really is no difference in the seat. The meal was okay, but I don't think the lounge and the cold meal are worth the added cost. The economy car also has a wider food and drink variety with their buy on board menu. And for $24 more, I'd rather just fly. But let me know what you thought about Via Rail's business class product. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode.